I posted a video a couple of weeks back when this news broke. I'll wait actually just a few minutes for a few people to jump in. This is really disappointing. I think it's disappointing to me for a lot of reasons. But I'll wait for a few people to jump in. I'll tell you guys, I've had dogs in my life, and holy cow, we're gonna have to put Grace down in a couple of weeks. This is so tough because sort of her mind and her heart, man, she's all about the pool and the tennis ball. And I took her out a few minutes ago, and man, she's like her back. I think she's got cancer, something going on kind of with her spine because her back legs just aren't working. Man, it's like so depressing, so heartbreaking because so much energy, so much heart. She just, man, that's tough. For those of you that have had to go through this in the past, man, this stuff's heartbreaking. We got a few people in here. I'll sort of jump into it. So a few weeks back, so let me kind of go all the way back to, I think it's like August of last year. Some of the rulings came down for the gliders, and they knew that there was going to be some restrictions. And so sort of the fight ensued, back when I guess Obama had put the regulations in place. So starting the January of this year, there was a limit. I think it was like 300 is what some of the articles were stating for the glider manufacturers. That's different information than I had heard previously. I'd heard previously that they were going to allow them to build the maximum number of glider kits they were going to allow them to build was taking a snapshot looking back 5 years, whatever their largest number was, somehow was going to be tied to that. Apparently that was bad information because what this article and the previous article stated was 300 trucks. So good news was EPA made some decisions a few weeks back saying they were going to use their regulatory discretion, I think is how they phrased it, allowing the glider manufacturers to essentially kind of resume business. When I spoke with Fitzgerald back in January, February, they were on hold waiting for notice from the EPA. They thought it was going to come sort of early summer in that May timeframe, and it didn't. And so they were just sort of stuck, right? Waiting. They were just sort of stuck, waiting, waiting for the EPA, the government, to allow their business to continue. And that's a tough spot. I mean, we all know that this industry is to say that it's heavily regulated is an understatement. But that's got to be so frustrating to spend so much time, effort, and energy building a business, and then to have the EPA and the government step in. So the good news was, again, EPA sort of changed that. Well, this was announced earlier today, and I thought I'd spend a few minutes on tonight. Essentially, the article states a 3-judge panel for the U.S. Court of Appeals in D.C. Ruled in favor of a motion filed by a coalition of environmental groups who had sued the EPA after the July 6th announcement of the stay of enforcement. Don't we sort of only wish we knew like where those environmental groups resided so we could just not ship stuff to the grocery store? Maybe they could sort of realize the challenges. I think furthermore, it sort of seems like the government just never moves fast enough when times like this happen. Now look, let's talk about this from a business standpoint for some of the glider manufacturers. They've sold every truck basically that they have. They're in a bind. They're told how few they can now build or manufacture. And so they're waiting for the EPA to announce what they can do. Congratulations, right? I mean, at some point, and oh, by the way, some of these companies, Fitzgerald most notably, announced some layoffs here about a month or so ago. Pretty disappointing stuff, right? If if you're a member of that family, that company, pretty disappointing stuff. And then to find out that the EPA kind of rescinds that restriction, right? So joy, excitement. If you can hire people back, great. But I mean, you've just laid people off, so you at least maybe you have the opportunity to bring them back as something they haven't found other employment. Could you imagine if you were one of those individuals that were laid off, then got the news back on July 6th, comes back to join the company or leaves another job, and then you hear that it's not going to happen. Just kidding. What was it? What is this? It's been like 12 days? 12 days. Just kidding. That's messed up, right? I mean, that's just so messed up. Making matters worse, right, is there's talk, and I haven't really dug into it. I've heard some rumors about, some of the challenges that California is potentially willing to sort of stand up and say maybe DPF filters aren't the way to go. Problematic at best. So, if California is recognizing, albeit many years late, many truck fires later, that maybe this isn't actually as good as they had hoped, you sort of just wish that the government would sort of get their act together and determine whether or not DPF, DEF is a good way to go or not. There are a lot of companies in this industry. There are a lot of families that are sort of relying on these companies and the product and the services that they offer. So I can't imagine what everybody is going through in that industry. I think for those that were looking at gliders, ourselves included, I alluded to this in my previous video a couple weeks back. I think it would be a very difficult investment back when they announced that they were going to allow them to resume. And I stated that it's going to be really difficult because my concern is so yes, the good news is the gliders are, $20,000, $30,000 cheaper than a new truck with, a current, to date engine. But man, how do you make, but you're still talking $140,000, $150,000 minimum investment. That's a lot of risk, I think, for those looking to get into that lease op or owner op space and looking at a glider. That just seems like a lot of investment. You're talking a net delta savings of somewhere again in that $30,000 range. And at any point in time, case in point, 12 days later, something could happen and sort of just the stroke of a pen can change that investment altogether. I've talked to quite a few individuals that have either currently owned or have owned gliders, and the results I think are maybe 70-30 sort of in favor of. Those that I spoke to seemed to feel that they had a lot less maintenance issues. That's good. Obviously, I don't know that I felt comfortable that any of them really tracked it. And again, a lot of these individuals are one truck shops, so it's tough. And even if they did have a glider and then another truck that was not a glider, I mean, again, it's not like every run is the same. So it's a really tough matrix, I think, to track. But disappointing stuff. I don't get the sense that I would love to see, I guess, the data from the EPA and how I guess how really poor these trucks perform relative to the environment, even with the addition of low sulfur fuel. So I don't know. I just think you're putting a company through and those employees and their families through just a hell of a ride. It just seems sort of like a cruel and unusual punishment. I'd be curious if anybody on the channel has gliders. This picture actually, the picture of the thumbnail here is actually one of their Coronados. It was one of the ones that we actually almost purchased. I'll say hello to a few people. Let's see, Holzer, Barb, Food Mooch, TJ, Sugarshine, Dashcam, Ken, Don, Tommy, Greg, Jim, John, Tommy, and whoever else. Thanks for jumping in. I don't say this, I say this about once, maybe twice, probably once a year. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, click the bell, hit the like button. There's my 2018 plea. Dave Wilbur, how's it going, man? Hey, Dave, where'd you go? There you go. Peterbilt 379. Peterbilt 379, are you a glider or are you just a regular Peterbilt? TJ, my oldest dog, Smarties, 11, slowing down a lot. Yeah, man, it's really sad. The worst part, I gotta tell you, I feel the worst part about this, right, is this is Kristen's baby, and Grace is 11 and a half or 12 and a half, one of the two. It's just rough because, man, there's so much puppy in her. I mean, she's a lab, right? You get around water. She's a lab, and so she's just got a lot of puppy in her face and her heart, but her body's just not cooperating. Tommy Reed, Trump didn't stop the regulations. He's no better. I don't know that this is really Tommy, I see. I did mention Obama, and you're an Obama fan, and you presume that I'm a Trump fan. So I see why you put the comment in there. Look, I don't really, again, it's not necessarily about blue or red, as it turns out. I just think it's more about, let's try to use some scientific data and really determine how positive of an impact does DPF have on the environment relative to a filter to have it replaced and installed is like somewhere between $5,000 to $8,000. I'm always surprised at the number of drivers that I talk to or run into that are not aware of the new trucks and the high idle feature. That's why these trucks need to be ran at high idle, when idling, right? It does a couple of things, but primarily the main function is to keep the temperature up in to burn off the DPF particulates. So when you're not running high idle, you're just, hey Duke, you're just putting yourself in a position to have to swap out that filter at a $5,000 to $8,000 cost. There are companies out there that can clean them, but again, pretty significant cost. You see a lot of fires early on when the last couple of years with DPF. How many of those are truly attributable to DPF? Don't know. But man, oh man, I just love to see a lot of data, and I'd love to see. Here's the big ask: I'd love to see the government use some common sense, right? And I don't care if they're blue or red. Chuck Red, good morning. Chuck Red, just so you know, it's 6:30 at night. So if you're still in your bunk with the curtains pulled, just so you know, it's not 6:30 in the morning. Well, and you're right? There is a lot going on with the EPA, and they are sort of a target. They've had a lot of turnover. There's a lot of just funky stuff going on, for sure. Light Bright, how are you, man? Shadow Wolfson here. Welcome, buddy. Oh, Tommy, let's see. Stop with the glider BS, please. Definitely new trucks are here. Let's just figure out how to deal with it and move on. Scott, you're beating a dead horse. Trucking will go on. I'm not saying trucking won't go on. I don't believe I ever said that. Did I, Tommy? If I did, you prove to me where I said that. I think, though, one of the nice things about America is it's nice to have choices, right? I think that's one of the things that provides businesses unique opportunities and competitive advantages. And so whether or not you agree with them or not, whether or not you take the stance of, oh my goodness, you're making this a political thing. I'm not. I'm making this a thing about choices and giving individuals an opportunity to have a lower cost per mile and be more successful. If you don't agree with that, I don't give a rat's ass, right? You move on, Tommy. That's what I think about it, right? But for you to pretend that other individuals have not made significant investments on this, or that there's not a whole lot of families at play, I think it's just foolish. And I think it's sad. Bigger than that, I just hate to see our government step in and make decisions and be really wishy-washy. I mean, you're kidding me. After essentially a year, the EPA comes in and says, no, just kidding. We're going to release that and build. We're going to restrict you to 300. And now we're just kidding. You can build more. Okay, fine. And then 12 days later, we say, no, just kidding. I mean, come on. I mean, again, we're talking about American families here, and just make a decision and try to stick with it. I don't know. That's my 2 cents. Shadow Wolf says, Canada did the same thing last year, but kind of. Let's see, Trucker X Journeys. Had a glider truck, wasn't impressed with the reliability of the Detroit 60 series. Reminded me how much I hated him back in '03. I can't recall. There were a couple of guys that felt like they just maybe didn't have as much horsepower as they had hoped that they would. But I don't know. And there are still some, Greg. Yes, there's still some being produced, no doubt. Hey, Duke, could you not do that? Nailed it. So a few months back, we all talked about, I think maybe the golf trophies as a live feed background. Western Kentucky, that's funny. I'll probably do some stuff from my office here in a few weeks. Damon Nassel, Snyder was buying 400 gliders a year from Freightliner. They're not going to be doing that anymore, I don't think. W9 gliders, 156,000. This new T680 is 164. Not much of a difference. Right, but think about it. You're not just talking about purchase price. You're looking at, depending on how much you run and the consumption, and I think really, how much you run, how fast you run is another big component of how much DEF that you burn. But you're really looking at another probably $5,000 to $6,000 in DEF purchases per year, not including any potential DEF breakdowns, which a lot of guys have. We've had some of those as well. I can tell you that. Let's see, what did you say? It was 156 for a W9. Sure, but let's see, the Coronado in that thumbnail I think was 130, right? So there's a pretty noticeable difference. Zach, I haven't announced that yet. Let's see, Eastwood says, hold on to those gliders as long as you can. Eastwood, are you pretty happy with it? I'm assuming you are, otherwise you wouldn't have made the comment. On again, off again. Yeah, that's it, right? I mean, that's to me, it's just sort of the instability of what you're doing to that entire industry. And again, it's not that it's a huge industry, but it is individuals within our industry. It's again, it's sort of Americans, and I don't know. I hate to see it. I hate to see, again, hey, you're good to go. No, you're not. You're good to go. Jonathan, the illusion of choice. Yeah, kinda, right? I mean, there are some illusions. Let's not kid ourselves. But look, whether it's illusion or not, it was a real choice for some, right? If you want to buy a glider, go buy a glider, right? If you want to save some money, go save some money. That was a real choice. There's no illusion to that. Well, I guess there is an illusion. You could go buy one 13 days or 12 days ago, and then now you can't. So maybe you're right. I say it a lot. I mean, look, I'm thankful that the government does a lot of what they do. Don't get me wrong, right? I like the fact that I can go to a store and buy a steak, and the FDA and some other healthcare. I'm pharmaceuticals regulation. I'm thankful for a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong, but man, I sure feel like the government kind of gets it wrong a lot. And Tommy, I mean that whether it's Obama or Trump, red or blue. Brent in Florida, late check-in. Good evening. How's it going, man? Freightliner, one box system. I clean the filter every 250,000 miles. Doing all but the cleaning myself. 2.5 hours labor, 24-hour turnaround. It's not bad. Walt Smith. Have I seen the YouTube video of truck fire where DPF is clearly at fault, where the truck burns to the ground because fire is extremely hard to put out? So I don't know that I've seen that. I don't know if I've seen that video. I can tell you that I have seen several videos where DPF was suspected to be at fault. I don't know that I've seen any of that where there was any proof. I just sort of saw them while it was going on. $1,200 all in plus your labor. That's not too bad. I know in the RV it was a Spartan chassis with a Cummins engine. And they told me it was $5,000. Like, I mean, right around $5,000. Peterbilt 379. Let's see. I'm sorry. Michael Coleman. I'm doing well. How are you? Trucker Eric Journeys go from Washington to Ohio on 15 gallons of DEF. Let's see. The environmental groups attack big trucks and emissions, but what about ships? They have more emissions. I don't know. I saw this the other day. I don't know if this is true or not. This is where I would actually like to see the data. So apparently, there's the big noise is that Starbucks, has changed and got away from straws, and they've got some new lid. And I saw this on Facebook or something the other day, and the new lid apparently is adds significantly more plastic to make the lid than it was to use the straws. And it sounds good. It sounds like conjecture that we would see, especially in this in this day and age of everybody has to have a strong blue or strong red opinion. I would just love to see what the real facts are. Michael Coleman, how do I get in contact with you? TheTruckingExec@gmail.com. I think, yeah, it's down in the description box. Wait, maybe it's not. I don't think it is actually, but it's TheTruckingExec@gmail.com. Crypto futures. Hey man, I'm still looking for my Bitcoin. Crypto. That was a piece of ice. Crypto, a glider is essentially a new body of a semi truck, right? New body, new interior, all the new whiz-bang gadgets. But it has the powertrain of a 1999 or older engine. Is what most would, just to keep it simple, right? There's a few other ways to describe it, but just to keep it really simple, it's a 1999 or older engine. And that doesn't come with kind of a new cleaning system that helps to reduce some of the emissions. So it's a lot cheaper of a vehicle, and the DPF is suspected of causing a lot more breakdowns, a lot more frequently, and some other things. Why we can't buy them is the government or the EPA and some environmentalist groups have been going back and forth whether or not it's good or not. David Kruger says EPA has too much power. Man, there's a lot of power. Look, I'm trying to be a concerned American. I mean, look, I have a degree in environmental health sciences, so I studied a lot of that stuff. I'd like for this planet to be around for a while. Try to leave it a little better than we sort of got it. I think we're doing a lot of good things. I think there's over the past couple of years we've seen a lot of improvements within kind of the I guess globally even really, and that's great. And I think we should all want to leave it a little better place. But man, I'd sure like to see some scientific data on some of this before we just sort of start making a lot of knee-jerk reactions. And I think that's one of the biggest issues I have with this whole red versus blue, Republican, Democratic kind of fight is there's just a whole lot of really quick knee-jerk reactions, and I don't think that's typically ever a good thing, whether it's personally, professionally, emotionally. So it's my 2 cents. Cummins is a different animal, and yes, they average $5,000. Well, thanks, Greg. Benjamin Duke, what was your comment? Let's see, if you're going to pay that much money for a glider, why not get the fuel savings of 2 to 3 gallons? The new thought is the maintaining of the DEF systems is not being done, so you have failures. Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't. And I'll tell you right now, I'll say this. Wilbur and I were talking about this earlier. I get really frustrated when we have to waste money on things that should have been caught during our pre-trip or post-trip inspections. We had a lot of drivers that were flat out just, as hard as a lot of our guys go, they were flat out lazy when it comes to doing pre-trips. I've mentioned this several times in the past couple weeks. The conditions of some of our tires and some, even in some occasions over the past couple of years, some of our steer tires, There's just no excuse for that. And so when I've stayed at some truck stops or what have you, in the RV, and I get up early, and I don't think I've ever seen someone doing a pre-trip in the morning. I don't think I've ever seen it. And it's not that I've stayed in truck stops as much as you guys do, but I've stayed in them, I don't know, 60, 70 times, and I've never once seen somebody doing a pre-trip. So the fact that there's concern that they may not be performing maintenance, look at the shock on my face, right? So it doesn't surprise me. Sugar Shine. Let's see. And you stain your teeth with the new straw. Sugar Shine, I want you to send that email to Starbucks. And I want you to, in fact, I want you to sue Starbucks for teeth cleaning. Benjamin Duke, takes a steady feed of money to keep any heavy equipment operating on point. That's for sure. Yes, Ken, Kyle and I, so I grew up in Oklahoma, kind of a big barbecue fan. There's one place, Bobby's? What is it off of 17 and 10 there? I think it's Bobby's. It's not bad. I'm not gonna say that Dickey's is like good barbecue. I've had good barbecue. I don't know that I would put Dickey's in the good barbecue category. However, it is barbecue. It is charbroiled animal flesh with barbecue sauce, and they do have fried okra, right? So yeah. So Kyle and I go to Dickey's. This is not a paid advertisement, but I don't mind it. It's not bad. Crypto, no, we do use DEF. All of our trucks do. It's a glider is a particular type of truck. So probably 99% of the trucks that you see out on the road are non-gliders, right? They're just new trucks, and most of them operate with DEF engines. A few that are older than 2000, they're not required to. The glider is sort of that hybrid vehicle, right? So it's sort of a brand new truck with the body and all the, like I said, latest and greatest gadgets on the inside, but the powertrain is older. And so it sort of fits that hybrid role, if that makes sense. Only the lonely. Maxine Waters for, I forgot where yours, that was her president. I'm sure she will be good for trucking. Dashcam Sam, our company had 2 DPF fires from a 50 truck fleet back in 2014. It was scary stuff. Have you guys, it seems like I haven't seen nearly the number of fires that we did back in 14 and 15, and maybe even a little bit in 16. It seems like I haven't seen that many. So maybe they've changed something, or like whoever it was, Benjamin Duke, I think, maybe companies are maintaining them better or more frequently because of that. I'm not sure. But I haven't seen that many. Like, we used to see them all the time, it seemed like, on YouTube. And maybe the real issue was, maybe the issue is they still happen, but back then people were so aggravated, they were still pretty sensitive to it, and they were aggravated about it, and so because it was sort of a hot button issue, it was like the easy thing to just sort of post about. Peterbilt 379 says he'll be dead before the environment becomes a real problem. Now, why do you got to blame hippies? See, nobody brought hippies into this, and now you got to go and bring hippies into it. David Kruger says he's an outdoorsman. He likes clean air and water. Unfortunately, he thinks the environmental movement has become the home of folks who like big government and government control. I'm an outdoorsman as well. I don't mind. Look, I want to be good stewards of what we've got. I don't have a problem with that. I just, like I said, I sort of think that we have all these different groups, as well as the government, sort of just arguing and bickering and knee-jerk reactions, and let's just get some real scientific. I mean, we got both sides arguing over scientific data. Like, that's sort of head scratching. Like, it sort of just should be is what it is. EPA pushed the DEF before the studies came in. Now Detroit is saying that they can cut the DEF amount injected by over half. Knee-jerk at its best. Yeah, there we go. Jordan Barber, we're at in Oklahoma. here's probably the most notable town that I was close to. The most notable town was called Bowlegs. I kid you not, Bowlegs, Oklahoma. That's where I go back and hunt every year, is in Bowlegs. True story. Billy Sims Barbecue. My brother played with Billy Sims back in the day. That was way back in the day. And that's pretty good stuff. Sam Jenkins says barbecue smoke is destroying the ozone layer. Yeah, what? So is cow. I don't know, man. It's just. Joey Wild, we run all deleted trucks. And even being inspected at the scale house, they never say a word about it. You know, it was funny, man. Is a few years back when we were getting some new trucks, we were ordering APUs. They asked me if we ran to California, and I said yes. And they said, "Well, do you want the California compliant APUs?" To which I sort of went, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, they're a lot more expensive." And I said, "Well, you know, let's play within the rules." And so the first few that we had were California compliant. And then the vendor that we were buying them from, I didn't know this until just a few months back. They actually changed them. They said, "Look, we're not gonna put the California compliant ones on. It's a joke," and that sort of thing. And I would have liked to have known that before we sent a couple of our trucks out there. So now we're more diligent, you know, about who we do and don't send there. But I guess I appreciate the fact that those guys are lax. I hope that they understand. I hope that it's with best of intentions. Truckissa, I need help with good food in OKC. I can help you out, Truckissa, with some good food. Hey, I thought I saw something on Instagram that you were in New Mexico. Maybe, I don't know, you were in New Mexico, now you're headed to Oklahoma City. You missed all the fun. I know you run up like Northeast a lot. I think it's Tuesday or what? I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, 116 is going to be here. So maybe you got lucky and just missed it. The Evil Dark Knight. Well, hello. The new California air study has shown lung cancer, lung cancer partials, is one of the byproducts. Super. Heavy duty welcome, man. Let's see, was last really good year for truck. 2007 was the last really good year. The cat was still making engines, and you guys start talking engines, man. I'm like, what? I don't know. Like I said, if I can't fix it with duct tape or zip ties, I'm probably not the guy. Here's a funny story. I'll give myself a little bit more credit. Well, maybe I shouldn't. So I don't know, like a month ago, 2 months ago, my brakes started squeaking on the Raptor, and so I just went down and got some brake pads and swapped them out. Right? I'm at least that handy, or I thought I was. I put the new ones in, and they're like squeaking right off the bat, so I screwed that up. Walt Smith. Let's see, checking Exec, but it seems that the latest generation of 2017 plus redesigned motors, Detroit and Cummins, are built much better than the pre-2017s. New filter systems better with better MPGs. I'm still waiting, and I hope that's the case, Walt. I'm waiting for, I mean, it was, I don't know, how many years ago did we hear that we're going to be getting the 10 mile per gallon truck? Still waiting on that. You have not been gone, you've just been silent. And thanks, Jordan. I don't know what Jordan said, but everybody say thank you to Jordan. Jordan said truck has to eat at Tucker's. Ah, okay. Let's see. I don't believe they will stop until all trucks are electric. Here's the thing. I don't have any problem with electric trucks, right? I just don't have any. I don't have any problem with electric trucks. The problem is I sort of want to be able to recharge them and be useful and use them in a similar manner that we run now, and that's just not real. And that's sort of like a lot of the electric cars, right? I mean, there's still just not a lot of charging stations. It's sort of unrealistic. I remember back in 2000, I bought a BMW sedan, and one of the options literally in the year 2000 was a hydrogen engine. And I was like, great, there's like 4 hydrogen, essentially fuel stops in North America. I think I'll pass on that one. So I wouldn't have a problem with that. Delivered in Clovis earlier, BT all the way back up to Wisconsin. Holy cow. Yeah, quite possibly, Jim. You might be right. Pruitt was he was causing some nonsense for sure. 03. I don't know if that. I had to just drive over there. I'll tell you what. I'll go over there sometime the next day or two, and I bet you that yellow Peterbilt is still in that same parking place. The driver that I was meeting for breakfast, I was telling him about it. I was like, man, this thing's always here. And he went in and I guess talked to him, and they said that it was paid up from like, I don't know, for the next week or something like that. Okay, Peterbilt 379. He says he hates electric trucks. It takes all the fun out of trucking. What if they still made a manual transmission, but it's an electric truck? What do you think? Would that do it for you? Probably not. Matthew B's got a 2017 truck, 300,000 miles on it. PMs only. Kip and Jake. Hey man, how are you? Kip and Jake. Kip, do you like Kip more? I like Kip more. I like his music. Benjamin Duke says truck burnings have been linked to carb aftermarket treatments, retrofittings, failure of that equipment, backed by the politicians. Yeah, that's surprising, right? Let me guess, they got some sort of money to support that. Shocking. All right, everybody, let's get the story from Truckissa. I'm great, thanks for asking. Just been running dedicated, and it's so repetitive, so nothing to record. Truckissa, why don't you go live and just tell everybody what you're doing right after this? I'll wrap this up. You just pull over, go live, tell everybody what you've been doing. And I bet you there's a lot of people that know some really great restaurants in and around Oklahoma City, so you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. Everybody would appreciate that. Quite frankly, Instagram just doesn't cut it. If it was a long-nosed Pete, you might consider it. That's funny. Is Nicola dead? They are opening like they're hiring like 2,000 people here in Phoenix, or it's west of Phoenix. They're opening some new large facility. So no. Let's see, 15 lawsuits against the carb companies. Sean Lucas, how would a manual work? I don't know. But here's the thing: if they can make an electric vehicle, surely they can make it manual. I mean, that would seem to be the easy part somehow. No, I know. I was just being sarcastic, Sean. Look, we can wrap this up. This is kind of getting long. I just thought I just saw the news earlier today, and I'm disappointed more for those companies and for those families. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I just thought I'd come on live and whine about it to everybody, and that sort of thing. That's really it. That was the whole purpose of this. Peterbilt says, so a few more questions, we'll wrap it up. Peterbilt says, today's not been a good day. Already been called a dumb hick. Now I'm hearing this about glider kits. Listen, Peterbilt, half my family are rednecks and the other half are hillbillies. And so, listen, you just have to sort of take that as a compliment, really. Walt Smith just said, no, the Nikola 1 is not dead. In fact, they have 2,000 plus pre-orders. Benjamin Duke says they put a cardboard box in a wood stick and you can move it around. Yeah, it's sort of like the thing that like the little kids, like you put the little quarter in at Walmart, right? And you see them driving the car. They can figure it out. Sean, I guarantee you they could put a lot of chrome on it. They could put stacks. They could probably put some train horns on it. They could probably do all kinds of things to it. You guys ever drove the Tesla? I think was it the Tesla? Yeah, I think it's the Tesla. Like it sounds like there's an engine in it, if you want, or at least the one I was in. I think it was a Tesla. David, you're welcome. Like I said, I just saw the article. It's not, I mean, it's trucking related, but I just thought it would just kind of go live with it. That's it. Yeah, you bet. All right, look, let's wrap it up. We'll get out of here. That's it. As always, if you guys are making some miles, stay safe. And I think Truckista is going to go live. You guys go check her out. Take care. See ya.